So let's be real with each other. I know a lot of you feel like in this day and age, dating can become a real pain in the butt, all right? It's crazy out in these streets. There's so much more to deal with. We are living in a very wild time, you know? And I'm not gonna deny the fact that due to the internet and just the way culture is now and everything going on, that it has made things more difficult when it comes to dating. But despite all of that, there is no doubt in my mind that every last one of you watching this can have success, all right? Now, some of you might be already in a relationship, and I believe with the right approach, you can have success there. But when it comes to dating specifically, it can be a lot better. And I say that with such confidence because so many times I've sat down with women and with men who they were on the brink of giving up. They was like, that was it. I'll give you one even quick story. I remember one time a client came to me, I want to say 4 years ago now, maybe. And when she came to me, she was at her wit's end. She was in her early 40s. She still wanted to have a baby. She was at the point of like, if this isn't going to work, she's going to get, I may be saying it wrong. I think it was in vitro fertilization, but either way, she was going to get the baby done in an alternative method, so to speak. And so I had told her, I said, listen, give me some time to work with you here. Let's not jump to that just yet. Let's see what we can do. Fast forward, long story short, we worked on healing. We worked on getting into her feminine energy. Literally 3 months later, she met a man on a flight. I want to say fast forward to 2 years after that, got married to the man. All right. And they would have got married sooner, except the pandemic threw everything off. But they were able to eventually get married and have a great relationship. So I know it can happen. And I want to give you reasons why you should not give up. But here's the thing. This is one of the reasons why I want to say thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video, because I know how discouraging things can get. But I know that when you're willing to do the inner work, right, and address past traumas and uncover what might be the blockage in your life, you can experience so much better and start to see the results you really want to see. And that's why I truly recommend checking out BetterHelp, because they can connect you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful and unbiased advice. If you think you might benefit from therapy, consider BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Stephan Speaks. Starting therapy can be hard, but the right therapist for you may not be in your area. And some people find the face-to-face interaction of therapy very uncomfortable. So to get you started, you can go to BetterHelp and fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs. And then you'll get matched with a therapist, in most cases within 48 hours or less. Over 4 million people have used BetterHelp to start living a healthier, happier life. So start your journey today with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Stephan Speaks. Clicking that link helps support this channel, and it gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and see if it truly helps you. All right, so let's get to some of the reasons why I really want you to, what I want you to embrace as to why you should not give up on dating. And reason number one is because you genuinely want love in a relationship. Now, here's why this is so important. A lot of women start to convince themselves that they don't care about a relationship, that they don't care about love, or maybe they don't want to get married, they don't care about it anymore. And here's the thing, if that's how you genuinely at your core feel, more power to you, right? But the reality is that for many of you, that's a defense mechanism. And there's this inclination to dismiss what you desire because you don't want to get your hopes up and you want to soften the blow of any disappointment, and because you feel like this may not happen for me. But it's in standing in the truth of what you desire that will help you receive it, right? And of course, it's not just that alone, because some of y'all might be saying, well, there's many women who stood in that truth and it never happened for them. But there was other things they were overlooking, right? I always say when you're not getting the results you desire in life, there's something that needs to be adjusted. Plain and simple. And that's whether you're a man, woman, adult, child, whatever. We always have things that we can work on. And we should not take offense to that or be bothered by that, because that's how we grow in life. That's how we get better. And good things come to those who put in the work. You know, a lot of times they say good things come to those who wait. No, just waiting doesn't get it. All right. You got to actually put in some work. If you just wait, you could be waiting for a long time with nothing coming about. So it's about patience, but also putting in or applying yourself properly in the situation. So back to the whole idea of this is what you really want. You know, be real with yourself and hold true to that, and understand that it allows you to give off the right energy. Because here's what also happens. If you keep convincing yourself, I don't want it, or I don't care, I don't need that, so on and so forth, then you meet a guy who you actually could come together with, who actually has genuine interest in you. And what you don't realize is you start to give off that I don't care, I don't want this attitude and energy, rather than embracing what's in front of you, right? And what happens is you're not prepared to embrace and nurture the opportunity that's presenting itself now, because you've been dwelling in this dismissive, negative energy of, nah, I don't care about this anymore. You want to set yourself up for being able to receive it when it comes by standing in it and continuing it. So whether that means continuing to give yourself affirmations. I'm a firm believer, when I pray in the morning, I speak what I'm looking for in this day. You know, I already thank God for it's going to be a great day, a positive day, you know. And so if there's certain things I'm desiring in my life, and for me, it's about understanding what God wants from me, but that's a whole different discussion. We'll say that for another time. But the point is, you want to speak your desires into existence, so to speak. All right. And again, it's about the mindset that it keeps you in and the energy that you exude when you do that. So embrace that as you continue on in your dating journey. All right. So now here's another reason why you should not give up on dating, is because it can provide you with new, fun, learning experiences. So the reason why that tends to not be the case for a lot of people is because a lot of people go into dating with expectation. A lot of people go into dating with the simple focus of, I want this to work. I'm looking for my husband or my wife or whatever. And when that's not the case, they're discouraged by it. But I want to encourage you to shift your mindset and to view dating as exploration, to view dating as an opportunity to experience something new, someone different. And through that, we can gain more wisdom and understanding. Not to mention, we can also fine-tune our skills with these experiences, okay? But to stay focused on just the learning experience and the fun, because again, I think that when you go into it without the expectation of what's going to come about, you allow yourself to enjoy the date more. And what's crazy about that is, by you allowing yourself to enjoy it more without the expectation, you end up giving off a better energy, a better spirit. You become a more enjoyable person, which has a greater chance of actually now creating an experience that can move things along. We don't realize that sometimes our rigidness and sometimes not even just having an expectation, but projecting disappointment. I have to speak on this for a second. Some of you are dating and it's almost like you're preparing yourself for the disappointment before it happens. Therefore, you're carrying this negative energy of projecting a disappointing outcome. And you don't understand how that is actually derailing the situation. You got to go in believing, and this is why, I'm not going to tell you to go in believing this is going to be your man and this is going to work out. I want you to go in just saying to yourself, I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to do my best to enjoy myself. Now, listen, there's going to be some situations where no matter how hard you try, you ain't going to have no fun. All right? That is going to go left for some reason. Those situations happen. But again, there's always something we can learn. And I also view it as, all right, even if it doesn't go well, Well, now I know. So for example, if there's a man out there who catches your interest and you've been curious about him and you guys finally get to go on a date, right? And it ends up being disappointing or it ends up not working out the way you hoped. Well, the great thing is now you know. Because had y'all not gone on the date, you'd always be stuck in this pattern of wondering. And I have to say, that's happening right now to some of you, where you're fantasizing and hoping and dreaming about this man and what it could be, but you don't actually have the concrete evidence of what it is. And if you just were able to go on a date and experience it, again, not with a guarantee of what will come about, that it'll be a positive outcome, you'll at least have the peace of, all right, now I know, and now I move forward. All right. And by doing that, I remain available to what's next, what opportunity will come. I also want to say this, one of the reasons why dating gets so difficult and it's discouraging is because we allow people to linger much longer than they should. And we are not honest with ourselves about the red flags or the lack of alignment that we're seeing existing between us and this individual. And instead, we're just holding on to hope, fantasy, and what we're trying to make this become. But if we're just standing our truth, trust our intuition, talk to God, all these different things, and eliminate this individual quickly because they are not for us, we would avoid what I call dating fatigue. All right. And that would allow us to then show up in the next situation with the energy that we need, with a more positive mindset, rather than being drained by these situations. So be mindful of that. But yes, shift your mindset. Go into it with the idea of, I'm just trying to learn and enjoy myself and see what happens. All right. So now number 3, the third reason why you should not give up on dating. And I need you to hear me out. Let me break this thing down for you, right? Because this might punch some of y'all in the gut. The reason why you shouldn't give up is because you've been doing it wrong this whole time. So what do I mean by that? Going back to that example of the woman, and though I want to say she's a bad example only because of how quickly things turned around for her. The one that after 3 months of me coaching her, she ended up meeting her future husband. Because it's not going to always happen that fast for someone. And I've had situations where I've spoken to a woman, and whether it was a coaching client or she read one of my books and she said, okay, I did everything, Stephan. I healed. I addressed all my past baggage. I'm walking in my feminine energy. It's been 6 months and I'm still single. And what I had to explain, and she's like, I'm ready to give up. And I'm like, now hold on now. And let's say this woman was in her mid 30s, late 30s, right? Might have been her 40s. But anyway, let's just go with late 30s. In her late 30s. And I'm like, wait a minute now. You've been doing this. You've been waiting. When we think about how long we've been waiting, we're considering the totality of our life, right? Or the totality of us being single. But the analogy I like to give is that if you were waiting in the wrong line, and then I show you where the right line is, the line that includes healing, walking in your positive feminine energy, all these things. To you, it's I've been in line for 15, 20, 10 years, 7 years, whatever, right? But you've actually only been in the right line for weeks, for a few months. Now, for some of y'all, it might be years. But it's for a much smaller fraction of your actual life. And in reality, it has not been as long as it may feel to you right now. And so you're not giving it a chance. You're not allowing it to bring forth the fruit that it needs to bring because you're thinking about all the additional time you were in the wrong line. Now, in the case of this woman, I had to ask her, I said, listen, all right, you're still single, but you told me you've healed. You told me you're walking in your feminine energy. Let me ask you something. Are you meeting more men than you were meeting before? She said, yes. I said, are you meeting more quality men than you were meeting before? She said, yes. I said, okay, that means it's working. Like you're seeing progress. You may not be at the final result yet, but you're experiencing progress because you put in the work. Another analogy is if we go to the gym, right? For some of us, it's going to take us a good minute before we get to the body we really want, the real goal we're trying to achieve. And it's very easy to get discouraged when we're in the gym and we're not at that final result, but we're overlooking the progress we're making. But going even back to the original example I was given, you can be in the gym and still be exercising wrong. You could be in the dating arena and doing it wrong. But once you find the right program and start lifting and eating right, the results start to come quicker. And then before you know it, yes, it's still going to take some time. You still have to be patient, but the end achievement you're trying to reach is going to come, but you got to stick with it. So I want a lot of you to understand, don't give up, because yes, respectfully and with love, you've been in the wrong line. And I'm trying to get you in the right line, but then understand that the clock kind of restarts in the right line. All right. And you got to be patient in that process, and you got to put in the work, and you got to be consistent, and you got to understand that if you keep pushing forward, it's going to happen for you. Right. And you got to celebrate the progress. You got to notice the difference. And it's not just for her. It wasn't just you're meeting more men, you're meeting more quality men. You're happier. You're more at peace. You're not as stressed. For some people, you're no longer depressed. You're off that medication you were on. And these are true examples. Like, I've seen this happen for people who made the changes and who did the work. And again, don't let the final result hasn't come make you forget about all that's occurring that's good. So I say all that to say, get in the right line. Start doing the work, but you still got to be patient. And yes, it will come with great benefit. All right, so let's keep this going. And another reason why you should not give up on dating is because practice makes perfect, right? And maybe not perfect. I don't ever want anyone to focus on perfection, right? But practice is gonna sharpen your skills. And I alluded to it earlier. Let's dive a little deeper. The fact remains that many of you have not gotten comfortable in certain behaviors and approaches that will be most beneficial for you. So, for example, if you're a woman and you're still struggling with tapping into that feminine energy, and for some of you, of course, there might be some deeper things that need to be uncovered and resolved, some healing and things of that nature. But then there's also a level of, you just need to practice. It needs to become second nature by you implementing, being conscious and aware of walking in your femininity. And what better practice than to go out on dates and talk to men. And again, not with the expectation of this is going to turn into my husband, more so with I'm just trying to get better and also enjoy myself in the process. Now, it's not saying go out with men that you have no interest in whatsoever, lead them on and play with their feelings just so that you can get really good at feminine energy and other things and then get the men that you really want. That's not what I'm saying. As long as there's at least some kind of interest, or it could just be even if you have male friends. And understand, practice doesn't always have to just come in a romantic setting. So even though we're talking about not giving up on dating, I do want to say, when it comes to things like feminine energy, when it comes to how you speak to people, right? Being able to listen better. These are things you can practice in all relationships, in all aspects of your life, right? But yes, you want to do it with men. And here's the reason why practicing with men can be so powerful for many of you, is because for a lot of you, your trigger is men. So basically, like, many of you know how to be all loving, positive, feminine, all these things or whatever, or a great communicator when you're talking to women, kids, at work, whatever. But then when you're dealing with men, you're like got two left feet and you're fumbling over your words. You don't know how to handle it, or you're getting too nervous, or whatever the case may be. You haven't become comfortable and confident in the presence of a man, and more specifically in the presence of a man that you find attractive or have any level of interest in, right? So this is why I think it's very good for you to be willing to go out there, be willing to date, and focus on how do I hone my skills. Now, here's a great thing to consider. In order to get better in certain areas, a lot of times we need feedback. And it's one of the things that we don't always seek out in the dating process, or some just don't have an opportunity to get that feedback. But I want to encourage you that if you go on dates with men, to be willing to have conversations about, hey, like, tell me, what did you like about the date, or what do you feel like I could have done better? And again, that could end up being something that helps you and that man grow closer together and become something serious, or it can be lessons for you to learn to take into your next situation. But as long as you're able to humble yourself in a way that says, all right, let me see what, how I was received. Now, listen, it doesn't mean everyone's opinion is going to matter. And it doesn't mean everyone's opinion is going to be accurate. So you want to be mindful of that. But I do think at least hearing them out is good, because if you start to hear a pattern, so if you go out on, let's say, 5 dates, 5 different men, right? And you start to hear the same thing. Let's say they all say to you, oh, you seemed very detached during the date. And that's a common theme you're hearing. All right, then that's a real issue. And we shouldn't dismiss it. Now it's like, all right, let's work on that. Let's get better. Let's understand, why am I showing up in that way? And again, when we take that approach, man, we make so many things better for us. So be open to that, have those conversations, and use dating experiences as a way to sharpen your skills. All right, so now another reason why you shouldn't give up on dating is because it can open doors to other opportunities. So, I have a quote, I believe it's my own quote, because I know I'm the one that I wrote it when I thought about it. But anyways, it says, everyone who catches your interest isn't meant to keep it. And I meant so in a more romantic manner, right? We're going to meet people that we're open to dating, or, and exploring the opportunity with. And then we may find out that, this isn't really the right fit. But that doesn't mean there isn't something else that may come out of this. Now, this is hitting my spirit, so I have to speak on this. Because you'll have a lot of people who'll say, who'll get involved with somebody, and it's a man who's really not best for you. And then their frustration is, well, why did God let me meet this person? Why did God bring this man into my life if this wasn't supposed to be a relationship? And it's like, well, where did God tell you that's supposed to be your man? What if y'all cross paths? Because for some people, that man is going to be what connects you to the person who helps you with your business, or that man through going out with that man, you were seen by another man who could be your future husband. Like, there's all kinds of various possible scenarios that we can't even fathom sometimes, that all may stem from having to go through the process of engaging with this individual, right? So understand that we're going to cross paths with people for various different reasons. And then some people they weren't even sent from God. They were sent straight from the devil. All right. And they're there to derail you and mess your life up. That's a whole different story. But the point is, you got to be open to the fact that this could be something more to this than a romantic relationship. Right. And I think this is also why it's so important to where we don't unnecessarily burn bridges. And I say that because I see a lot of scenarios where the date goes wrong, and let me say the date goes wrong. Things don't work out with the date. And some women, it may not be you, but some women poorly handle the situation to where they create negativity, tension, or a negative perception of them because of maybe they were rude, whatever the case may be. And it's like, for all you know, this man could have been a lifeline for something later down the road in your life, right? This could have been turned into a situation where you guys were acquaintances. And again, doors could be open for you. I'm pretty much saying the same thing over and over again, but the bottom line is this can be a greater opportunity. So you want to be mindful of that. You want to consider that. And that brings me to my bonus point, so to speak. This is why you got to always include God in the process, because we have a bad habit of jumping ahead of ourselves when we see someone that we like, when we meet an individual that we want for things to work out with, but they're not meant to be with us. They're not meant to be our future partner. But that doesn't mean we weren't meant to actually go on that date with them. And I say that because I have experienced that. I had a situation many years ago, many years ago, many years ago. And I remember after talking for a few weeks, when I first met the woman, I was like, oh man, this might be it. Like, there's some serious potential. And then when I prayed, God was like, nah, this ain't it. And I was like, now, before I prayed, I had already set up a date with this woman. And I was like, nah, you tripping, God. Like, what do you mean this isn't it? Like, everything seems so great. And God's like, no, this is not it. So I was like, all right, dang. So I'm like, God, I already made this date. Should I go on the date? And God's like, yes. So now I'm thinking, okay, you really tripping now, because why, if this woman is not it, and you're telling me this, are you going to tell me to go on this date? But I know when I'm hearing God, and I was like, all right, he's saying go. So I went. And I'm not going to get into the whole long story of it, but I'm just going to sum this up by saying there was a real purpose in it. And again, we just don't always understand what that purpose is. All right. And sometimes that purpose is for our growth. Sometimes it might be for them. I always believe it's kind of a both. I don't believe it's ever really one-sided, because it could simply be, I had to learn the purpose of trusting God, even when things don't make sense in situations like that. And there may have been impact I needed to have on her in that moment. Either way, you just have to trust God in that process. And so understand that in life in general, there's going to be different things that we need to do or not do, because it might be on the flip side where, yes, you really want to go on this date and God's like, no, this is not for you. And not only is it not for you, I don't want you to go on this date, because he knows you might get caught up. And before you know it, you start rationalizing past what you heard God tell you and convincing yourself that, nah, that was just yourself, talking, you heard wrong or whatever. And before you know it, you're diving deeper into the situation. You feel like you got caught up. Months later, years later, you're in this disastrous relationship that from day one, God told you don't move forward with. And so we want to make sure we're always including God, that we're learning how to get in tune with God, so that we can make sure we always understand how to proceed, but also understand that proceeding doesn't automatically mean this is our future partner, right? And just trust the process of whatever God is trying to take you through in that moment. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention, all right? I know that what you see on the internet can add to how discouraging the whole prospect of dating is, all right? And I know that hearing horror stories from your girlfriends and all this stuff can really throw you off. But one, understand the internet is not what it seems. And a lot of people are just talking, but they're not giving you the full story. And even in real life, the stories your friends and your family are giving you don't always include all the details. And if you knew all the details, then you would see that it's not what you think. And you might be a lot less discouraged, because then you would understand that this isn't a symptom of the dating world. This is a symptom of their personal experiences due to whatever issues they have not addressed. All right. And you got to be confident in knowing that it's about the environment you can create for yourself and tapping into what God wants for you. So if you are on the verge of giving up, before you do, pray and talk to God. Ask God. And for some of you, it may not be it's about time to give up, but yes, it might be time to step back. Maybe God wants you to step back from dating because he wants you to focus on some other things first before he brings you back into the fold. Maybe for some of you, it's not even about dating. Maybe it's just God needs you to lock into that purpose he has for you. And in walking through that purpose, that man you're supposed to meet will come. Different people will have different paths and experiences. And that's why you cannot let the outside noise derail you. Trust that what is for you is for you. Your path is your path. Make it about you and God. Trust the process and you will receive the blessings that are best for you. Thank you for watching this video. I pray this was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here next on the strong signs a man is hiding deep feelings for you. And to me, these are things that's like, well, wait a minute, something's going on here. But Mary is insisting at this point, no. And I think naturally for a lot of